Good morning. I'll give everyone a few moments to join because I haven't done a live on YouTube in, well, it's probably been over a week now. How are all you doing? How are you feeling? How's your health? As channels, as healers, as light workers, it's really important right now to stay on top of how you physically and emotionally feel. That has been just such an important thing right now. And I began to channel Edgar Cayce probably around 2017. It hasn't been that long. As a medical intuitive and channel of various beings, I found that it was really important to know what was going on with my body. So I did it for very selfish reasons. And I did it because so many of you in my spiritual mentorship programs and in my mystery school were coming to me. And I felt like I was working with mini me's, particularly anemia, um, blood sugar, skin challenges across the board, immune system disorders, colitis, ulcerative colitis in particular, and inflammatory bowel disease, so many things. And I just recognize myself in each and every one of you as students. And it was just kind of breaking my heart. So I put all of my energy into talking to Edgar Cayce to try to come up with various situations that were connected to core beliefs. And I'm like, well, we got to go internal, heal your heart, heal your body. That's the way it goes, right? And I learned that your emotions are a part of your body because your body is the measuring device to tell you where you are in your beliefs, okay? And I learned that you can't just focus on one without the other because that would be an incomplete project. Healers, channels, hear me. That is an incomplete situation, right? And then I thought, well, if I focus on the emotional core beliefs, then that's going to make sure that all the physical maladies get healed anyway. It may take some time, but all the physical maladies will get healed anyway, right? Okay, shadow work. So I did that for a number of years. And you're right, shadow workers, it gets healed eventually. And channels, healers, light workers, what do you do to not just survive and wake up every day and take care of yourselves and your partners and your children and your animals and your beautiful plants? What do you do in the meantime to not just do that, not just survive, but to thrive and to feel okay and better than okay about sharing your gift with the world to do what you're here to do? That was my challenge, to stay not just emotionally well. That was the easy part for me because I had and still have guidance, perpetually. And there's yoga, there's breath work, there's so many things. I created a 20-part Kripa yoga plan to cover breath work and pranayama and pratyahara and pranayama and breathing. But when you physically feel so bad that you can't even remember to focus on your breath, and you don't even care if you're breathing in the first place, once depression and anxiety kicks in, kind of get a hello on that, right? When you feel so bad that you don't even care to do that, know that the body has lost its capacity as a measuring device to actually protect you. It's not over guiding you at that point. It's starting to ask you, do you have an exit plan? As Dolores often says, it's starting to just sort of bring this about and just tell you, hey, you're not taking care of me. So what are we going to do? So if we just focus on the physiological, or if we just focus on the psychological, we are sort of an incomplete pass. We're not really working on a whole plan. Okay. Right. So, yeah. Roy Larson said, yeah, I don't feel like looking at the fake news. Yeah. So don't. That might be a part of something that you can work on, is turning over your power to yourself. Turn off the news. Believe me, society's going to tell you. Your friends and family are going to tell you what's going on. You don't need to hear it from the news as well. So, as a light worker, I went through all these experiences. My body just started to cave out. And of course, I went to my shamans and my local healers and people in my community and in my family, and, of course, when I go to my mom, you know how moms are. Moms are like, well, it's genetic, sweetheart. You just have to accept it. This is the way it is. We all have some sort of arthritis. We all have these issues with being in the cold and being extremely anemic. So I went to the best hematologist in the country at the time. I went to somebody in Houston, and he was like, yeah, that's pretty bad. You have anemia, but we've never really, just take some iron, right? You don't even get me started on that. It didn't work because iron isn't, if you don't have the proper setup in your gut, you can't even get it to absorb properly. Okay. So as a medical medium, I felt like I had all my tracks covered with the core beliefs, but not in the physiological. So my body began to catch up with me, and it began to get really hard to even want to function in healing the core beliefs. Have you ever been there with that? Right? So what I've been learning from Edgar Cayce since 2017 is that focusing on one or the other is just an improper and challenging feat. You're not going to go to that. So it's not just this whole situation either of empaths are prone to panic, empaths are prone to depression. Not really. Empaths are sponges, both psychologically and physiologically. And if you don't focus on all of it in a practical, whole way, then you're going to miss the all of feeling well. And then both the body and the mind become to be unwell. I had the mind well under control, and the body was still just like, right? After, I think, 3 years of shadow work from some of the top practitioners in the country, after 4 years of shamanic endeavors and journeying, after all the work that I could possibly do in the world, there were only 2 things that worked, and one of them is the way of balance, is what Edgar Cayce talked about. And the other one is using the body as a proper measuring device by making it aware of the beliefs. And you already know who does that. Her name is Jen Ward. You can find her at genuinehealing.com. So that handled for me the emotional component of it, the spiritual freedom technique. And then there was the physiological component of it that I could, as a channel and healer, no longer ignore. Because if I did, I couldn't get up out of bed in the morning. And then if I did get up out of bed in the morning, something would be so literally exhausting. And I've gone to the doctors. I've had my hair tested. I've had so many things tell me what to do. And when I sit with Edgar Cayce, I sit with my higher self and I go deeply into my beliefs and ask, do I have a thyroid problem? I've asked the doctors and the spirits and the angels and myself, do I have a thyroid problem? Do I have adrenal exhaustion? And the answer was surprisingly no. It was a no. I asked, did I have cancer? I've asked that for years. The answer is no. I asked, do I have an immune problem? The answer was yes. Okay. And I learned why. But I asked, okay, go to an immunologist and hematologist, find out the immune problem. Are they going to be able to treat it? The answer was they will only treat symptoms. So for many years, I was told that I had hemolytic anemia and iron deficiency anemia. I tried all the supplements in the world. They didn't work. and I started to take blood transfusions, and they would work temporarily. So it had to be deeper than just medical treatment. Okay. I've seen that all the shamans, that it's the best shamans in the world, so many people, I've tried so many different technologies, from having portals closed in my homes to, um, one of my friends recently thought that I've never done any scalar energy, so she did some on me. It helps a little, but it felt temporary. What she didn't know is that I had done scalar energy for about 6 years in my past completely, and many times a day, someone did scalar energy on me. But I just got to the point where I got tired of so many people trying to tell me what to do with my body. And I got a little snippy with it too. I'm sorry. Because I know you guys come from so much love and you're like, try tech patches, try crystals, try these supplements. There are only certain things that work insofar as supplements, and I'm going to go over some of them today, but they're not actually supplements. Hence the title of this class, Toss Your Supplements. Most supplements cannot be digested by channels, healers, and empaths because you have a problem in the gut in the first place. So the only supplement that I recommend, there are two. One is actually castor oil. You can take it in a specific way that I'm going to teach you about today, and you have to take it in a specific way, but it's not a supplement. It is a natural oil that comes from a plant. It's not something that's packed up into a capsule or a tablet where your stomach's going to have some issues. You put it in hot water and Tulsi tea, and it goes right down. You actually taste good when you do it that way, and you need to do it an hour before all meals. It's actually not quantified as a supplement because it's not packaged in a way with a bunch of preservatives in a capsule or a tablet that your body cannot digest. Empaths, you cannot digest that stuff. It's not getting past your gut. So that's one of my secrets that's been healing me. The other one is an actual combination of trace elements. It's not a supplement, it's a trace element. And I get that from ZachBushMD.com at a very low price. And I take just a tiny bit of it anytime, preferably before food, not with it, but you can take it anytime, just once a day. And that began to physiologically correct everything that was causing me not to absorb nutrients. Okay. And there is a unique type of iron. It is the only iron that's going to work for most channels, empaths, and healers. It's not a supplement. It's from trace elements. It's actually from a very dark or brownish seaweed that's prepared in a unique way without preservatives, but just from the brine of the actual seaweed. It's called atomidine. So that's from Edgar Cayce as well. All right. Yeah, I've tried shiatsu, I've tried qigong, I've tried pranayama, and that's great for energy and just being able to get through the day. But in terms of healing the body, nothing works but understanding those three actual trace supplements, not modern day supplements. They are superfoods and trace elemental energies of things that you get from trace metals, trace salts, trace iodine, and the proper combination of organic oils that are high in polyphenols mixed with warm water. Okay? Those are some of the secrets that we're going to be talking about in my powerful trans-channeling of Edgar Cayce coming up on September the 27th. But if you just do that today, those are the four basic advices that began to really change my life. Because otherwise, I wouldn't be able to have the energy to get up out of bed with this amount of channeling, this amount of healing, this amount of work on the universe. These are the things that changed my life. I forgot to tell you about magnesium. Don't take it in a supplement. Believe me, I've been trying. It doesn't absorb either. There's a specific way to take it. Okay, and there's a specific thing that you do after you take it, and it's not actually ingested. Okay, so there's ways to do these things. And we're going to be talking about those from the physiological perspective, and we're going to be talking about the core beliefs that cause them so that you can get rid of those once and for all. And the way that your body works in systems, the systems in your body work together. And if you can't heal the gut, none of the other systems are going to work properly to help you eliminate heavy metals. Empaths, listen up. Heavy metals are your biggest enemy for healing and channeling and for the work that you're here to do on this planet. So I've given you some basic tips today physiologically to feel better within, I'd say, 5 to 7 days if you do these things. And I'm going to give you, wow, I have about, I think 70 to maybe even 77, I think I counted 77 particular things that he's been teaching me over the course of my channeling time with him since 2017. For those of you who are just entering, it's Edgar Cayce that I've been working with to do these studies on both myself and my students who are channels, healers, and empaths and light workers of various degrees, beginners and experts who still struggle with just the basic things: taking care of your kids, taking care of your body, taking care of your plants and your partners and your yards and your homes, and just being able to do the practical things that you need to do to stay on this planet, much less do all of your energy work and your channeling and your healing techniques. You need to embody yourself. Okay? So you need to make these trace elements absorbable. But aside from that, it's about the wholeness, the way that you work in your body's systems. And there are certain ways that you can be aware of what your body's doing by learning to tap into it appropriately, learning how to talk to your body. Okay? So I've given you 4 powerful tips on how to feel better within 5 to 7 days. And then from there, we're going to talk about all of the other ways to combine trace elements and natural minerals that should be naturally available in your body but aren't because you're in a malabsorbency condition. You don't absorb proper trace elements and nutrients hardly at all. That is why you're exhausted. So if you do happen to have all the things you think, like I thought I had a thyroid problem, I thought I had iron deficiency anemia, but those were symptoms. And then when I just got back from the doctor, it just didn't work out that way. And they do a lot of broad range testing, and it wasn't actually my thyroid. It's a problem with lack of absorbency with iodine. You need a specific type of iodine. And it is a specific problem with the way that you eat, when you eat, and how to connect with your body, and when you're not connecting to your body. And realizing when you're not connecting to your body by not connecting to the basic elements that, because so many of the people in the world are subjected to so many quarantines and lockdowns and strict rules, got masks over our face. And I'm going to stop before I get YouTube flagged, but you know where I'm headed with that. You can't even properly breathe, much less give yourself permission to make sure that you're not deficient in D3. You need proper sunlight. And believe me, we're going to talk about how to get that sunlight, even when you're on strict quarantine. We're going to talk about, the specific techniques that have been taught by Edgar Cayce for over 20 years now, and the updates that he has to them as well for the things that work for healers, empaths, and channels right now, based upon what your bodies are like right now. Okay, what updated remedies do we have for now? So that again is going to be, I'll link it below later. Right now we're on early bird special, but that's only to the end of this week. That channeling is coming up on September the 27th. You can get it on PamelaAaralyn.com. And we're going to go pretty deep with him for about 2 hours, or as long as he will let me. If he will let me go longer than that, then great. But he knows when to tell a channel to stop as well. But we're going to try to at least make that 2 hours, because again, I've been writing down these updated remedies for 3 years now, but I've just started to apply them, and I've been having you apply them, and your health started to shift. And we were able to work with changing a lot of lives and saving some lives. So I'm really, really happy about that. And one of those lives that changed was me. One of those lives that were saved by this protocol was mine. Okay? So excited. Let's start answering your questions and talk about some of this. Oh no, Olivia said I'm addicted to McDonald's. It's the chemicals in them, it's not the food. That is definitely something he's been sharing with me, and as a medical medium as well. It's the preservatives and chemicals and the way that they're prepared in a certain oil. There's a certain oil that fast food industries use that locks in those preservatives and makes you want them because you're so deficient in a certain type of sodium, not the standard, I think bromide is the name of the salt that you get over the table, where they add the iodine that you're told that you need. You do need iodine and you do need salt, but you don't need that particular type. You need another type of iodine that's more natural, you know. So because most people are deficient in a certain type of iodine, which we're going to be talking about, and where to get that naturally in foods, you don't have to go buy the atomidine. Atomidine is just, it's prepared in a certain way. It's very natural, but it can't be quantified as an actual supplement, okay? Because it's very natural. It's not an actual. Supplements are things that should be natural in your body, but people pack it together with a bunch of capsules and they put it inside of capsules and tablets and smack it all together and hope that your body can digest it. It won't work that way. So you can actually eat the type of iodine that you need, or take it as a liquid when prepared in a certain way, and you don't have to go buy atomidine, but if you want to, you can, and it works. But again, it's not a supplement. It's something that should be naturally in your body and isn't because of the way that you've been eating for the past 40 years minimum. Okay? So, magnesium infusion. Let's talk about that. Someone is saying that's a liquid that you spray on the body. It works for me. Okay. Yeah, they won't let you get the web addresses without, they'll flag me for putting out false information. So I always tell people I'm not a doctor. I'm not medically licensed to treat you. You guys know why I'm saying this, because YouTube makes me. So there's that. So magnesium is really, really powerful, but it's about the way that you utilize it and what you're eating before, during, and afterwards, and how you are preparing it. That's why Divine Light Hazel, I believe that's your YouTube name. That's probably why that worked for you, is because you're putting it on the body and it's going through the pores. So it's probably infused in a way that's actually holding the value of the magnesium, so that it can be absorbed properly. That's probably why that's working for you. Now, I can give you a tip on that. When you do that, don't even let it dry. Warm it up a little bit. So spray it. Perhaps if you get out of a hot bath or shower, that's really good because the pores are already open. Then spray it on. Then get a camphor oil pack and or a hot wash rag or tea towel, and make it hot, and then just put the castor oil, excuse me. Camphor is another thing he talks about, though, is one of his updates. So a hot wash rag with castor oil on it, okay? And get yourself some saran wrap, or just hold it onto your skin. Okay, and you can hold it on certain areas of your body depending upon what organ system is giving you the most struggle, and then you will get dual the benefit of that magnesium infusion liquid spray. Okay, so these are just small examples of some of the things that we're going to be talking about. And you don't have to go buy all these things. Believe me, I'm not a camphor oil costs like $13 for a bottle that'll last you probably for the year. Really, this is not me trying to go become an affiliate of castor oil, excuse me, or camphor, or all these things. This is about me talking about the trace minerals that are stripped from the soils, and thereby you can't get it in your body either if the foods that you eat when you grow them in stripped soils are lacking. So we're going to be talking about some of the information he's been sharing with me to eat naturally from what's already in your pantry, to make your own supplements without having to go spend a whole boatload of money and the basics of the way that you prepare supplements if you're going to use them, and just making sure that they are from trace minerals and trace elements that you need, that you don't have, and how to change your life so that your gut actually begins to absorb them better, what to eat and what not to eat that actually could be causing the problem. We're going to be talking about all those things. So, Teresa, if you're feeling dissuaded, this is going to be a natural guideline, okay? Just a really natural guideline that I have personally tried and that clients around the world have been personally trying. You guys have been patrons of me for a long time. You've been following my work. You know that I was a fan of plant medicines, but when they're prepared in the wrong way, particularly steeped in those alcohol tinctures, then just about anything that you can get a hold of that you can buy from most places are going to be put in a gelatin capsule, or they're going to be, if they're not that, then they're distilled in alcohol. And if they're not that, they're distilled in something that takes away the value of the plant medicine itself. I know that after the past 20 years of trying everything, right? Everything was struggling with a rare autoimmune disease, or at least that's what I was told it was. I was also told I had kidney failure, and recently found out that's not true. Yeah, my GFR rate is 95, Yeah, but I was told by naturopathic and allopathic doctors alike that I had chronic kidney disease. I was told that I could possibly have lupus. I was told so many things. And what it is if your gut cannot really take this upon yourself, and you have an immune system condition, which many light workers do, that is a recipe for extreme viral overload. And for those of you who follow Medical Medium, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But this podcast is not about Epstein-Barr. It's about all of the viruses and tiny, tiny things that you are not exempt from when your gut is not able to properly digest foods and trace elements. Okay? We're going to be talking about what types of salts work best, what types of oils, and yes, castor oil is a main one, but what types of oils work best for polyphenol value and who can't actually ingest polyphenols. Okay? For me, because I don't absorb iron, I learned that continually packing my body with these fruity polyphenol blends that were kind of one of those fad things. I think it was Dr. Richard Gundry or somebody that did it. And for people who don't have any hemolytic or iron deficiency anemia, like I do, it was actually compounding the problem. So we're going to talk about what specific ailments are already there and what you need to do personally based upon that, and what emotional core beliefs are in alignment with those specific ailments. So we're going to talk about all of it, from the spiritual to the physiological, because the physiological is spiritual. And when we separate the two, it is a mental and physical disaster waiting to happen. It is a ticking time bomb for channels just to basically, as Teresa said it so powerfully, to become dissuaded. As so many of you are talking about feeling like you just want to give up. And I remember I just walked into my supplement closet one day, and I was sitting there with my partner, and I was just staring at the supplements. She lives in Ireland, so we were on WhatsApp, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I can't take any of these." And then I thought, well, if I can't, who else can't? And I started to look at all the ingredients, and I started to talk to Edgar Cayce about what binders and what things were really hiding as binders, and what's hiding in the word natural flavors. Oh my God. And I started to learn that I didn't need any of it if I just learned how to prepare basic oils, waters, and trace elements properly. I wouldn't need any of those things, and I felt better. I've been on a super course of some of those things since I've been home. And I went back to my doctor, and she did bloods. And while I was in Ireland, she was trying to call me, and my voice messages weren't getting through. And I called her back just a couple of days ago, and she's like, "Okay, do that thing that you do, because if you don't, you're going to need a blood transfusion." So I'm doing the thing that I do, and I'm listening to him, and I'm on day 2, and I'm already feeling like I don't need to sleep a zillion hours a day. Okay. And that was from a simple remedy this morning that I took. And an hour later, I'm able to finally take my iron supplement and actually have it digestible in my gut. An hour later, right? And it's simple. It's simple things. It's not things you're going to have some big complicated problem remembering. So after watching so many of you struggle with the same thing that I was struggling with for, I think, several years now, and just you watching me struggle, you watching me almost die, you watching all that happen, and then watching my recovery, I can't turn my head anymore. If YouTube deletes this video, so be it. As a medical intuitive, I can't turn my head anymore. Yeah, and I'm tired of taking, with the anemia, I'm tired of blood transfusions, and being told it's some weird thing that somebody can't fix. I don't believe that, right? And when I follow this regimen, I get better and I stay better. And when I don't, I get right back into the anemia and feeling sick again. But not everybody struggles with anemia, but that is like, I've learned about 45% of the struggle with empaths and healers. You guys, because of other conditions, about 30% of the time, according to my research, by watching you, you have other conditions. And the rest of the time, it's the anemia is the problem. So sometimes the anemia is primary and sometimes it's secondary. Sometimes it's a result. But it was ridiculous because I had to learn what types of iron to take, how to take it, and how to get past the problem with the gut. Okay. So let's start answering more of your questions. Do I eat fish? Sometimes I eat it and sometimes I don't. The answer isn't as simple. I was a vegan wannabe, an incredibly strong advocate of Ayurvedic medicine, and still am, by the way, and an incredibly strong advocate for vegetarianism minus milk and cheese. I do not like milk and cheese. Milk and cheese for empaths, healers, I'm really sorry, but that is the one thing that I am going to ask you to eliminate. Milk, cheese, butter, dairy, it's got to go. But I'm not going to ask you to eliminate fish, red meat, or chicken. But I understand that some of you have other reasons to not want to take upon meats, but I got tired of the spiritual shaming that was going on in spiritual communities around the world. I got sick of it. It felt bad. It made my gut feel worse. I would go cry because people were shaming me when my doctor told me to go eat some liver, right? And some people's bodies aren't ready to be vegan yet. So this is the interesting things. Some people can get everything that they can get from milk and cheese and eggs in other products. Some people can become fully vegan, but they still need eggs. But what you don't need would be the milk, the cheese, the butter, the yogurt, all that. Here's what I learned about grains. I learned that some people are completely blocked by grains. Like gluten intolerance wasn't even the issue, according to Cayce. What he shared with me about that is that it is the chemicals that are used in the production of wheat itself, as well as in the raising of the crop. Okay, so it's the stuff they put in the wheat, both pre-production in the growth periods in the harvest and in production and in post-production in how they package it in the packaging. Okay. So that was for about, so far, 40 to 50% of empaths cannot eat wheat not because of an intolerance. It's not because of the gluten, it's something else. Then I learned that another 25% of channels, healers, and empaths are allergic to lectins. So we talked about how to eat based upon the season. If you think about this from your ancestors' viewpoints, you were born in a certain area of the world and you did not have cars and trains, automobiles. You didn't have all that. Couldn't get on a big giant metal bird to take you somewhere else and then go experience sushi, right? If you lived in the desert. So you didn't need that. You didn't. So eat from where you live and the products, whether they're animal or not, and eat based upon what your body can actually tolerate. And we're going to learn how you can find out what you can specifically tolerate based upon who you are and how to tap into your body to find that out. And there are ways to quickly find that out just by observing your body for a week or two. Real simple, practical things. Okay. So it's the things that they put in those, they're very packaged, the rice, the oats, the wheat. Rice was tested to have a lot of arsenic in it. And Cayce said, you wouldn't believe how much arsenic is in rice. You wouldn't believe how many preservatives are in quick oats. You wouldn't believe how the way that wheat is harvested and packaged and produced. So it's not necessarily just about that, although he did find that up to 20% of channels have celiac disease. So we're going to learn what it is that's going on in your specific body and how you can find your specific archetype based upon your genetics, based upon not just your blood type, but how thirsty you are and when you're thirsty, when you get hungry, when you actually get hungry and how to know that you're hungry, your sleeping and circadian rhythms, okay? And certain things that are foolproof. No, not gene keys. No, not, your blood, just your blood type, although your blood type's a part of it. Not some fad protocol, but things that he has experimented with by digging into the Akash for, his entire life, from the time he began that channeling until now as he works with me in spirit. Okay? So we're going to learn how to correct the genome problem with the stripping of the genome in the lands and in your gut. Primarily in your gut, though. In your gut, right? We're going to learn which supplements can work for certain people and which ones don't. But primarily, he's going to tell you which ones to toss. And according to him, it's the majority of them. I remember feeling so discouraged by looking at my supplement chart for what all of the doctors that I've been through had described, just sort of given to me through the years, and looking at my medicine cabinet. Oh my gosh. How many of you have medicine cabinets like this with either allopathic or naturopathic supplements? And I just kind of went, it is not this. There has to be more. And there has to be something simple. There has to be a simple reason why frozen products aren't working, boxed products aren't working, supplements aren't working. And how can we do this without breaking our pocketbooks so that everybody can have access to it? And that's been my goal as a medical medium. Particularly for the past 4 years, I've been interested in this work as a part of my spiritual mentorship programs and helping you guys open up your abilities and learning that the more you open your abilities, the harder it is to be in a body. So, okay. Question from Divine Light Hazel. If I don't answer your questions, guys, just copy and paste and just keep doing that because I probably don't see it. Since I've been following this protocol, by the way, and learning when or if to take lutein and how to take lutein, my eyes have made a 62% recovery. Something I was told would not happen based upon a condition that I still don't believe that I have, but that's what doctors say. So 60, I can't remember if they said 62 or 65% vision return, but it's been incredible. I can drive now, not in big cities or stuff, but I can drive like around my town and stuff. I can't drive after dark yet. I'm still working on it. So ask me next year how that's going with night driving. But I can generally drive anywhere during the day as long as it's not some unfamiliar place like a big city with a bunch of construction. So that was a big thing that came out of following some of these protocols. Frozen castor oil caps. Don't freeze castor oil. Castor oil, according to Cayce, I don't know what the way that he suggested to use it back then, but I remember the castor oil packets always had to be heated And if you're going to take it internally, not only does it taste better, but it works better if you take it as a tea. So make a tea, and I'll tell you, Tulsi rose tea. Oh my gosh. If you put it in that, um, or any Ayurvedic blend, the Ayurvedic properties, particularly the Pitta properties in Ayurveda, do something to heat up the castor oil. And then when you put hot water on top of it, if you take it in that way, don't make it boiling though. I'm talking just like warm, comfortable. Don't burn your mouth or anything. It's not boiling tea, but just a warm tea. That's going to work. Castor oil for most empaths is not good to take before bed. It takes a long time, particularly when you're taking only 15 milliliters, which is a little over 1 tablespoon empaths. When you're only taking that amount just for basic cleansing of the gut, it takes a long time to get through your system. So we're going to talk about the various ways to use castor oil, what updates he has on that, and specifically like what plant medicines to take them with and how to prepare your own. He likes to prepare his own plant medicine. So that's been an incredible thing to learn, because I was just going to the store and getting them or going them to my local shaman, who probably gets them from another shaman, and I don't know what's in it. And I like to know what's in my food. I don't know about you. I like to know what's in there. But fish, if you eat fish, so many people are asking questions about fish today. Cayce has not supplied that answer to me with fish yes or no. He says fish yes for certain people and fish no for certain people, and fish in moderation for most empaths. What that means in moderation is like 1 to 4 times a month, and then you have to cleanse the mercury because it just finds its way in the fish. Okay, so okay, looking for questions. You guys are having fascinating conversations though. But you did it right. You typed question and then put a colon. That's the way to get my attention. In all caps, you got it. Anything about apple cider vinegar? Yes. Yes, you can prepare it yourself, or if you feel like buying it, Bragg's, the mother is still the best. But there's certain ways to prepare apple cider vinegar. Okay, so certain oils that make them work, like MCT oil, there's certain ways to prepare it, and you can actually make a beautiful salad dressing with it. It actually tastes really good with just like a capful of fresh apple cider vinegar with the MCT oil and a little bit of sea salt. And it is really, really good, particularly with kale, that type of salad. Question, magnesium vegetable caps, mostly no. He has said no with the capsules of magnesium most of the time. There's one that I recently take that worked pretty fast, incredibly well, but it gave me so many other side effects because it was very cleansing. So then there's that. So sometimes you can find some capsules that do work, but it's best to get it in your body another way. Okay, we're going to be talking about all the different ways to get that in your body, but capsules with magnesium is not always best. Just doesn't absorb as well as he would like it to. Raw honey. Well, he loves Manuka, but it's a selling factor in terms of, people trying to say it's Manuka when it's not, and he doesn't want to get into the which brand is the best. Like, he won't do that, because by the time he tells you it, then that brand will not be fully transparent, and then they change, and then they're suddenly not transparent and suddenly not the best. You see what I'm saying? So we could just research that for years. But yes, he does like raw honey for certain people who don't have certain disorders. And if you do have certain disorders, particularly raw honey with colitis is a disaster. It is a disaster. Unpasteurized milk for colitis. Some people say it's good, some people say it isn't. But if you have iron deficiency anemia, which again, 40 to 65% of empaths that I work with do have it, either primary or secondary. So when you have that, then any milk, pasteurized or unpasteurized, is a disaster and completely causes you to not absorb up to 40%, sometimes more, of your iron. Okay. So these are all just things that, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for empaths and channels out there in the world today who are just, you get up in the morning and you just slept 10 hours and you feel like you slept 2. You can change that, you know. Will castor oil do a loose stool? Not if you take it in the way that I just recommended. It will take 2 to 8 hours to get a loose stool, but not the type of loose stool that's going to have you running, just a comfortable loose stool. So that's just enough to cleanse the digestive tract just once a day is what he recommends. That will cleanse it. Okay, just a gentle cleanse is what we need to do in empaths. Yeah, Morgan, she said, what worries me about fish is metals. Yeah, he feels that way too when he channels through me, because it's getting higher. The metal component is getting higher. So if you can get the best omegas that way. However, you will absorb omegas better if you get the proper iodine that's absorbable. Then you will also absorb omegas better, and then you don't have to get it straight from fish all the time. And there's other things. There's other ways to get omegas that he's been talking to me about. I had the same question just a few weeks ago about omegas. So this is a really good one because this is actually one of his remedies. Someone is asking, is lemon maple syrup, hot water, and cayenne pepper beneficial? It absolutely is. That is an old remedy. That's an old Cayce remedy that my mom found out about when I was in high school, and she used to take it all the time. And it helped her with everything from, and my mom's a healer. She doesn't like to call herself that, but she really is. She's very, very sensitive to energies. But I don't remember what she was taking it for at the time, but she had a lot of things going on, and it helped most of those things. But for cleansing, I think she lost a lot of weight that way too. She started getting some thyroid issues, I think, and she had a lot of female issues, and it helped, to kind of recover her energy. Can bentonite clay help? Yes, but you have to prepare it and take it in a certain way. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the 4 different ways that work to prepare bentonite clay properly, and what conditions it helps empaths and healers with. Okay, so this is a class that I am targeting empaths and healers because, again, I've been there, and I just got tired of waking up every morning feeling like shite. Yeah. It's a journey, Nicole, like you said, but it can happen more quickly if you know what's up. If you know how to take the vinegar, how to take iodine, how to take magnesium, and how to get it naturally and more quickly absorbed into your body. Can you take spinach for magnesium? It's not going to absorb. Yeah. But there's a certain way that you can prepare spinach that makes it better, and it's not cooked. Cooked isn't the way. Spinach it's good, but some people can take non-heme iron, that's plant iron, iron from plants, and some require heme iron, that's iron from animals. So for iron, magnesium, it's okay with spinach, and iron, depending upon whether you can absorb it, whether you can absorb iron from plants, or whether you're the type of person that needs to absorb it from an animal product, you're not really going to get that much from just eating spinach every day to get more iron. Yeah. Yeah, I can do that in the class, Jeannie, because I have a lot of things to say about oils. It's not necessarily about just the oils and what they do. The MCT oil does a lot of things with energy. It helps boost some enzyme in your body that will make your mitochondria work normally. So MCT oil is all about energy, okay? It really makes you be able to absorb things, and when you use it in a certain way, it can make your nutrients twice as absorbent into your gut. So that's one thing. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about rapeseed oil. We're going to talk about rapeseed oil and grape seed oil and the difference. We're going to talk about polyphenol-rich olive oil and who it helps and who it doesn't. For me, it was a no. Learned it the hard way very recently. That was a recent discovery. So polyphenols aren't always the answer, but for some people they are. Which people are going to benefit from that, and how to prepare, and which people don't, and which people should fully stay away from it. Okay. Or get it only from fresh fruits. For me, I can only take polyphenols from fresh fruits. Passing kidney stones, it really depends. Your question about that is, it depends upon the type of kidney stones. So he does have 4 different remedies that are updated that he would like to share for the kidneys, 2 of which are to pass stones, but there are 2 different types of stones that are pretty common in channels and healers. Coffee, it depends upon how you prepare it and how quickly it leaves your body. So I stopped coffee for a long time because it would so quickly leave my body that I was terrified that it was irritating my bladder and kidneys. But as it turns out, according to my recent blood results, my kidneys are doing fabulous, like amazing. And it just, it's a very, very weird thing because I had been told I had chronic kidney disease. And I'm like, well, what happened there? I'm kind of wondering there because I started all these protocols, and so did a lot of my students who had kidney disease, and they're experiencing the same thing. And they're wondering, like me, if they got a misdiagnosis or incredible healing. So we're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, and we're not going to say it's just our remedies either. We're going to say that it depends upon your elimination. Absorption and elimination are to be understood and balanced appropriately if you are going to take coffee or black tea. Empaths and healers, what Cayce said about coffee and black tea is that you, again, 40 to 60% of you have some degree of anemia, either primary or secondary, right? With that in mind, coffee and black tea cannot be taken with iron products or food when you're trying to get the iron from the food, because it will stop your absorption of that iron by up to 45%. That's not okay with me. And some of you, the recent percentage that he's been giving me is up to 60%. That's in some of you. I was the 60% person that probably almost recently landed myself in the hospital with severe anemia until he told me how to take tea and coffee and when to avoid it. Not with your morning breakfast, people. You're not going to absorb any of the iron that's in that breakfast, and not anywhere close to taking your supplements. So coffee should be, if you're going to eat breakfast, coffee should be a midday treat. And then you'll notice when you do that you can drink within reason, and reason according to Cayce is 1 to 2 cups a day at a certain time of the day. You get to decide that time of the day. It doesn't matter if it's morning or afternoon. It should not be evening. That's the only disclaimer I have about that, for certain reasons, because it will completely desecrate your neurological system, and which will challenge your circadian rhythm, which will cause another problem with your thyroid and adrenals. So as you can see, this is not as simple when it comes to coffee and tea. All right. Would it be simple for me to just say, just eliminate it? Yes. But if you've had anemia for the past 20 years, like I have, you kind of look at that and you just go, I'm not sure. So I started drinking it in the morning, and I decided to let morning be a time when I do not eat breakfast. All right. So you don't want to be peeing out all of your iron, and believe me, you will, and peeing out all your protein, and you will. It's just not, it's not going to work that way. What if you don't go to doctors and don't naturally know what might be wrong with you? Do you recommend finding out? I could really get in trouble for answering that because I'm not a doctor. Just YouTube will just be so quick to yank my video. They've been so rough with the rules lately. I got a laugh the other day because I saw, I watched JP Sears. I know. I'm a big JP Sears fan. Even though like he relentlessly sells you every natural product under the sun and unnatural product, I don't care. I think he's amazing because he makes me laugh. He was doing, did you guys see his YouTube thing about that? It was so funny about you broke community guidelines, and the guy was like, I don't know. How did I do it? How? What did I do? Well, you broke the, yeah. So I can't really talk about that. Can you ask it in another way? Because I know for me personally, going to a doctor that has a background, she was, she's deeply into the supplements, and also very aware of what happens, particularly, because she's a female doctor, she specialized in female medicine a lot, and she just has a lot of knowledge about things like that. And the more I go to her and she just says, look, it's anemia, but you don't have to be scared of it. And there are some natural things that work and some that don't. She helped me as well to stay away from things that don't. So if you decide to go to a doctor, an allopathic doctor, make sure they have a background in both. It's the balance that can be helpful. It's not go to a doctor or don't go to a doctor. In my case, there have been times when I needed to because I was so anemic that I needed a blood transfusion, and there was no way that a quick boost of Cayce iodine was going to help that right away, and I felt better immediately. Granted, the problem without full correction emotionally, spiritually, and physically came back. So this is where, some of these remedies can come into place. Make sure that if you correct the problem, that you just don't get the same problem again. And sometimes that's up to you. That's not the doctor's job to tell you what to do with your life. It's your job to do your research on your body. Okay. You hate water? You could be super sensitive to what's in the water, and you're just trying to cover it up. Especially if you're drinking tap. I don't think you are, but you do need water. But let me tell you something that Cayce said to me about water. Not everybody needs, gallons of it a day, and it can actually be doing more harm than good, particularly for channels and empaths, to be chugging water all day just because someone tells you that's what you should do. So what I learned from Ayurvedic medicine, that it is about the way you prepare water, cold water, according to both the Ayurvedic practices and Edgar Cayce, is a no-no. Learn to drink your water at room temperature, okay? Now, there will be people who have exceptions to that, but it's the way that you prepare your water, okay? And generally speaking, it's cold water does not do the body any good. So I don't want to get into all the things about bottled okay, spring. I can tell you some of the things that he says about spring water, that you have to trust the source, but that generally speaking, spring water, when it's a well-trusted source, can be best. Bottled water is generally purified in ways and distilled in ways that they don't tell you about. So, and you think about it, it's been bottled in plastic. Did it get on a truck that was heated? You don't know where it's been. Was it frozen first? Like, I doubt it, but I'm just saying, was it refrigerated in a way that, was unusual? Like, how do you know what's in there? You don't. So, yeah, you can get more trace minerals from spring water than you can anything. They came out with this thing late within the past, what is it, guys? 15 years. I don't know when they came out with it, but what's it called? Reverse osmosis. That made me 5 times worse with the anemia, and with the gut problems over just a course of 2 years. The reverse osmosis water, it was terrible. I don't know what they do with it, but it felt like they were just stripping it. Filtered water, well, what is it filtering? It may be filtering some of the, to answer your question about filtered water, Yolanda, how this gets more complicated. What is it filtering, and what is it? Is it filtered with carbon? There could be mold that gets trapped in filtration devices, particularly the kind that go on your sink and in your water bottles. And the Brita does okay, but it's still, if you're not, really using it properly and cleaning it out properly, mold can get in there. I bet you guys didn't know that. Mold's a big problem with empaths, and he does have remedies for that as well. So, and he has remedies how to stay away from it. But in water filtration systems, mold can be a problem. Any tips on how to store water? Yeah. So, I drink spring water, and I live in Utah, so I can get it for free from a trusted source. I just, yeah, my best friend and I put it on the back of his truck or in his car, and we drive down to the spring water and we fill it up. But prior to doing that, we have a strong hydrogen peroxide solution that we put in there, and we just swish it around inside of the plastic empty water containers. And then we rinse it, and then we fill our water tanks with spring water. And that's how we store our water. We put the cap back on, and then we take it home and drink directly from, the bottles. Now, Casey likes glass bottles better than plastic, but he understands how inconvenient that is. Thank you for the super chats, Teresa, and anyone who's doing that. I really appreciate it. But yeah, he likes glass bottles, because they stay cleaner, but I can't, I don't work out. I'm a mom of 4. I'm either working or talking to you guys or doing a channeling or, doing kid activities or writing or something. So, do you live in northern Utah? You didn't live in northern Utah the last time I heard from you. That's awesome. Yeah, northern Utah has amazing water, and so does southern Utah. So Utah is amazing for spring water in particular, and Arizona is as well. I get some of my water from Arizona, as well. So sun water, yes, that's good for electromagnetically charging your water. Sun teas as well. Casey loves it. However, you have to make sure that you're not leaving it out there so long that you could be making your water prone to bacteria. Okay, and make sure that you have it covered properly. You don't want any bugs to get in there, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, that's a hard one. Because if I give you that remedy, which we can talk about different ways to boost the blood, Helen, YouTube will set me on fire. They'll be like, bleh, and get mad at me. So again, I have to give this disclaimer a lot. Anytime I give you a remedy, I have to give you a disclaimer that I'm not a doctor and I'm not licensed to treat, diagnose, or cure, and nor do any of these things support medical allopathic cures. Yeah, I know. But a lot of things worked for me, and a lot of things worked for my clients who were taught to trust their bodies, and we learned all together, not just me and not just them, but together we learned a lot of these remedies and tried them over time. Chronic myeloid leukemia is a hard one because there is a reason why your body is not boosting, it's not creating blood, and that happens in the bone marrow. So that isn't just about the red blood cells, but you can boost it with beets. And the way that you prepare beets, specifically not boiling the crap out of them, is going to be incredibly important. And when you sprinkle it a little bit with the MCT oil, that helps them taste better and boost their value. But the cure for that goes deeper into your emotions and how do you chronically feel about not being able to support loving yourself. So that cure is primarily emotional, and it's about how you can build your blood and eating to build the blood thereafter to make sure that it's going to be a slow cure with that. He hasn't come up with a quick cure for those kind of things. But he did talk about adding the etomidine for that, which is a type of iodine that's made from It's made in the brine of like a brown or black sea kelp. So we're going to be talking about some of those things, but they take time. There was no quick cure and still isn't for chronic myeloid leukemia. And again, I'm not a doctor, nor am I qualified to cure that, much less give advice. But this is strictly from stuff that clients have tried, both his and mine, over the years. So that's a hard one. You need to work with the emotions primarily, along with making sure that you're eating blood boosting foods and actually absorbing them and building the bone marrow. Okay. The ratio on what solution, David? Do you mean the peroxide? It was a strong one. I believe it was either 10 or 20%. Yeah, my friend does that for me. I'll have to ask him which, because he cleans those. It's either 10 or 20%. Get back to me on that. Casey says it doesn't matter. Double it, swish it around in there, and just make sure that it covers your entire bottle. So you can just maybe put he says right now a 2 tablespoons of 20% or 1 tablespoon of 10%. So the stronger, more medical grade peroxide is what you would need to get with that. And you can put a little bit of water in there too, but not much. So if you have 20%, I'd say not even 8 ounces of water, not even, just a small amount of water, and just swished around. And then rinse it out. Rinse it out really good. Stephen, I don't know the answer to that. Energetically and electromagnetically speaking, storing water in blue bottles does have an effect on it, but it's not necessarily a health effect. It's more of a preserving the what is he saying? He's saying it's preserving the electrolyte value of the water itself, so that the cellular memory in the water molecules are preserved, which in turn has an effect on the trace minerals that can, particularly in spring water, that can be that can be preserved in the water, so that when you drink them, the trace minerals are still there. They're not stripped or flushed away. So in that way, it's not a direct effect on your health, but it does affect your health. Do you see what I'm saying? For other reasons. It's the alkaline balance in your foods and avoiding acidic foods like coffee and black teas. Or if you do not avoid them, knowing how and when to take them. And also the way that you can prepare castor oil with turmeric. Okay. And then actually take them within 30 minutes, like 30 minutes of the castor oil with a little bit of black curcumin turmeric, or just any turmeric that you can get your hands on, even if you just get turmeric root and boil it up, in some water, and then add your 1 tablespoon of castor oil before you eat. Do that every time you eat, and that will eliminate the stomach acid. Okay, that's an updated Cayce remedy for you. We have literally, like I said, about 77 updated remedies. That was one of them. What's the other thing he's reminding me of here? Then take vitamin C actually with your meal. And the way that you eat, if you're going to have something, say you have a pulpy orange juice, which he likes better than the non-pulp variety, have it with some fresh snow peas. There's something about the iron and the protein that is in those peas. If you're going to cook them, just like barely cook them. And when you do that and you have it with a pulpy orange juice, that's actually going to balance out your entire digestional tract and make you absorb both the protein and the iron more easily as well. Sometimes with stomach acid, depending upon why it's there and what you're eating or not eating that's causing it, these remedies can be really good. Uh, Fibromyalgia, well, it is a symptom, not a condition. Doctors finally put a name to it because they don't understand why um, inflammation is in the body. And inflammation, chronic inflammation, causes fibromyalgia. And the CP that you're talking about is causing the chronic inflammation in your case. However, is not necessarily about dropping weight that's going to make the pain go away. It's about lubricating your joints. So again, getting back to the proper oils. I know that Edgar Cayce thinks castor oil cures everything. I don't agree with him with that, but I do agree with that lubricating your body will be what it takes to make sure that you're properly hydrated and those joints are lubricated. Okay. So any of those oils that we'll talk about in class, including the one that we talked about today, if taken properly and warmed up, would be helpful. And again, try the castor oil packets. Keep them warm. They feel really good. Smell weird, but feel good. um, what is Edgar Cayce's viewpoint on juicing? He loves juicing, but it's about the combinations. So we're going to have a section of the class talk about which vegetables. He doesn't really agree that you should be combining vegetables and fruits together. If you're going to have a vegetable juice, have a vegetable juice. And if you're going to have a fruit juice, have a fruit juice. So that's his first tip on juicing. And then secondly, leave out all the things you're putting in there. And this goes for smoothie makers as well. All the other things that you're putting in there, like bee pollen and things like that, you don't really need half as much as you think that you do when it comes to those supplements. You'd be best off to toss them, minimalize, and just basically go through elimination diet of very little. Start out very little, much like when what do they call that in allopathic medicine? The brat diet. Not that he recommends it, but they'll put you down to bananas, rice, and apples and toast whenever you get really sick in your stomach. And then you will add food a little bit at a time. Well, this is what we're going to be talking about based upon the conditions. What will you eat to help those conditions? What beliefs go along with what you need to work on emotionally as well? And then how you can add food, or if you can. For those of you healing things that have been going on a long time, you want to stick to these remedies for a long time before you begin to add food back to your diet. So we want to eliminate most things and then slowly build until our gut becomes more tolerant. Pre-diabetes, it's about the elimination diet. He really loves castor oil on a daily basis combined with warmed cinnamon. So I know it's a weird taste, but if you take the Tulsi tea remedy that I was sharing at the beginning of this class and add some cinnamon and just stir it up really good, just a small amount. When I say small, I mean like 3/4 of a teaspoon small. Okay. And then put that in with your Tulsi tea and then add your 15 milliliters of castor oil. It needs to be warm, not boiling, warm tea. Okay. And then the other remedy that someone mentioned earlier is lemon, warm water, a little bit of maple syrup, and some cinnamon. That works. Oh, and the cayenne pepper, just a dash, not much, just a dash of that cayenne pepper. It's just for the Ayurvedic warming of the other elements in there. If you take that first thing in the morning, an hour before you actually eat anything, you'll find that your morning sugars and overall the A1C levels will completely change. So if you want to get those morning sugars under, for those of you in the UK and Ireland, under 6, you can do that. And for those of you in the US, you want to get those sugars under, I would say under 95. But I saw that drop in most diabetic patients who are working with me in medical intuitive readings and sessions. When they did that, they would drop to around 80 to 85 for morning sugar levels. So that's some of the things that you guys can do. Oh my gosh, scleroderma. I have one client who's also a very good friend of mine with scleroderma, and I've literally given her at least 5 remedies. So scleroderma is harder, and she's had varied results. So scleroderma was one of those things that Cayce struggled with and still struggles with because it is an inflammation problem. So it's about the food always with scleroderma. All right. Just making sure that you are absorbing foods that aren't causing too much inflammation in your body. Okay. And you got to treat calcium very differently. The way that you take calcium is going to be really important. All right. But yeah, he has, I think, 7 different updates to remedies for scleroderma. We'd be here forever if I were to talk about them, but most of them involve light and infrared light beds. So that's an interesting thing. There's another thing that he recently made an update to for scleroderma. I learned this because a close friend of mine passed from like a pulmonary, I think it's pulmonary fibrosis that he had. It was just dreadful to see him in so much pain. And um, his wife is just really brilliant in, herbal remedies and all sorts of remedies. And she got the intuition to do some weird product. I've never heard of it before. I think it's called CVAC, and it's a machine that you literally get into. He did this along with the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, and those 2 things together, if they had caught it in time, would have saved this man's life. Unfortunately, none of us caught in time, and we still grieve. I wish that Cayce had told me about that. I wasn't working with him as much then as I am now. So that, according to Cayce, those 2 things together are incredible. And if you want infrared therapy, that just adds to it and makes the other 2 therapies better. And when you do them all together, they can actually cure that condition, both the pulmonary fibrosis and the scleroderma. But again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not qualified to diagnose, treat, give advice, or cure anything. I can just tell you what works in terms of medical intuitive standpoint and what this being is sharing with us on updates that are recommended that you try if your own intuition pulls you in that direction. See how careful I'm being not to get my video taken down. I wonder how other medical mediums do it. I really do wonder, like, how they do videos like this without getting flagged. So I hope that plenty of people get a chance to see this before they yank it. Question, is olive oil beneficial? Yeah, it is. Omega-3 from flaxseed depends upon how everything's processed when it comes to oils. But yes, it is beneficial. Flaxseed is incredible, and Cayce highly recommends it in his most recent update to me. The omega-3s from flaxseed can be really incredible. I don't like milk, so calcium is a problem. Oh my gosh, calcium is in so many other things, particularly vegetables, but you can get calcium pretty much anywhere. So you don't have to have milk. Milk is not a recommended part of any eating protocol for any updated Cayce remedies. Yeah. Jasmine rice, okay. I don't want to get into which rice is good and which rice is bad, because with rice, it depends upon how it's prepared. What's in there? How did they process it? How did they prepare it? It's about the production of it. Because remember, Cayce said that most rice has hidden arsenics, and arsenic, even in a tiny amount, is devastating. Particularly people with immune system conditions, which is a lot of empaths have hidden immune system conditions. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to get going so that I can go grab some lunch before I get started with working for the day. And if you guys want, you can come to the class. It's going to be a powerful class. I know some of these remedies really help me. When I get really, really bad with the iron in particular, I've got a lot of remedies for that. So I can't wait to share, what's been going on and how to really balance working with the emotions without ignoring the body, and working with the body without ignoring the emotional beliefs that cause the body to become ill is going to be a very important part of this class as well. So it's the balance of the way you eat, the way you think and feel, and the way that you treat your pain. That's another big part of this class. Okay. So for those of you whose notifications awakened you from sleepover in Australia, I'm really sorry. But I really hope this helped. And I can't wait for you guys to come to this class. It's going to be a combination trance channeling, and then I'm going to come out of the channeling to answer questions. And then I'll go just into clear conduit channeling to have him give updated remedies in response to your specific conditions, because a lot of channels have the same conditions and health struggles. So if you happen to be tired of all the sales gimmicks and modern day supplements and things that the world is throwing at you and you don't know where to start, what Cayce does is he gives remedies in a way that you can find things that are in your own kitchen cabinet. You don't need to go to the health food store to get any of this, right? So it's going to be interesting to work on our bodies in ways that teach us valuable connection techniques to know what our bodies are trying to tell us when we don't feel well, and to know the emotional components. We don't want to avoid the emotional or the physiological. I find that many empaths are like, well, I'm just going to work on the emotions and the body will get better. Well, that's not what happened for me. I worked on the emotions, and then I would have more energy coming in because of that. And then I was exhausted in the body no matter what. And I got tired of it. So that's why I started working with them. And that's why I became a medical medium 4 years ago, not just a channel. I became a medical medium as well, because I wanted these beings to actually explain to me why the channels coming in this era are much more susceptible to immune system conditions, anemia, diabetes, arthritis. I watched one of my cousins struggle with rheumatoid arthritis, and I want to help her. I want to help all the channels and healers in the world who have these natural abilities. I want to help you help the world, but you got to get better first. So that's why. Again, September the 27th for this one at 1 p.m. Mountain Time. If you can't make it live and you happen to register for this class, you will receive a recording. But if you don't happen to register for this class in advance, I will not be selling this class on my website afterwards. And the reason for that is because the remedies do shift over time, and I would like to continue working with him and give proper updates to older remedies. So this will not be a one-time class, I'm sure, because I don't think I can pack in all 77 remedies and answer your questions. So I'll link it up below. But remember, again, the Edgar Cayce channeling and class is on September the 27th. I'll see you soon. Thanks for coming today. I hope that some of these remedies helped. Checking out.